Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I have a really cool video, and I am joined yet again by Funky Fizz, a competitive Magic player, right?
Yep, that's correct.
But yeah, you also recently had a video on my channel where I had you over as a guest, and we had you try to rate Pokemon cards. But today we are looking at both Pokemon and Magic cards and kind of maybe swapping them. Not exactly swapping one to one, but turning Pokemon cards into Magic cards and Magic cards into Pokemon cards because they are games that have a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. And we're going to have some kind of weird stuff we're talking about here today. But how do you think this is going to go?
Hopefully better than last time. I think it'll go well.
Yeah, I think we'll have some interesting cards. I wonder how well these will translate, but let's just hop right in and we'll go with the first card here. This is a Pokemon card, which is rare candy. This is an item card. Also, some of these are like iconic cards. They're not all super iconic, but rare candy certainly is. It's been in the game for essentially forever. And it says it's an item card, and it says you choose one of your basic Pokemon in play, and if you have a stage 2 in your hand that evolves from it, you put it onto that basic. This counts as evolving it, so you can't use it turn 1 or the first turn that Pokemon is put into play. Pretty much it allows you to evolve faster. So how would you translate this to a Magic card?
In my opinion, the closest thing, well, what the card that immediately comes to mind for me is a card called Neoform, which is a little different. You have to sacrifice a creature, and then you would search your library for another creature, put it onto the battlefield, and it's a little stronger than normal if you do it that way. Obviously, Pokemon cards can't do the sacrifice thing, but I think if this was to be turned into a Magic card, it would probably be a sacrifice style of effect. Because I mean, Magic has two other similar effects. They have Meld and Mutate. Meld being pretty much you take two different cards and then you combine them into like a stronger version. And then Mutate being like you just put a card on top of another card, but they kind of combine their abilities. It's a little strange. Um,
Yeah.
but I think to make it the cleanest way to make it would just be to sacrifice a creature.
Yeah, and then like get one. So what would like the stats on that card look like, and like what card types would it be?
Um, Honestly, it could be something totally different. Like I know in this one, the creatures have to be, well, it's got to be an evolution chain, right? So you can't just, I don't know, put like an Empoleon on top of a Turtwig. But in Magic, that's not really much of a limitation. I guess that if you wanted to keep it similar enough, you could probably do it by tribal type, which in Magic a tribe is pretty much just like a subtype of creature. So something that's like a human, you can make it to where you have to like go and search your library for another human.
Okay. Yeah, and then so would like would it be like a sorcery and then like what would the cost be? Like I'm trying to think of how strong this is. I don't know. It's like a tutor, but and it also makes it like stronger.
Um, yeah, it is really strong. I mean, tutors generally speaking in Magic are strong, especially ones that put things directly onto the battlefield. If I have to guess, this would probably be the effect that I'm talking about would be something that either be restricted to like black or green. And honestly, they usually make the price a bit more reasonable if you have to sacrifice something to get something else. And since this card has like the stipulation of needing a basic Pokemon, it would honestly be pretty fair. I mean, Neoform only costs 2 mana, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Is Neoform like good?
It can be very good. It kind of depends on the deck. If you were to just throw it into any one-off deck, it wouldn't be like great. But you're usually like including it in a deck where you have like a specific plan for it. Like I want to Neoform a specific 4 mana creature so that I can put out a 5 mana creature that's just going to win the game once it hits the battlefield.
Yeah. Okay. Um, is it used to like oh, I was gonna say talk about like enter the battlefield effects, but those like always trigger when you enter. It's not like because in Pokemon we'll actually talk about another card later on where pretty much all like comes into play abilities. It's from hand. So if you like use something like Neoform would like skip past that, but that's not how that works. So it just like come into play like normal. Um
hmm
yeah, but this is definitely like obviously it's like it doesn't quite have evolution, but it is like getting stronger. So that's pretty cool. But what's your first card here? I'm excited to try this out.
Okay, mine is going to be Doomblade, which I think My first card is probably going to be the most radical one, if I had to guess, because I don't think Pokemon really has effects where you just straight up outright get rid of a creature. And to make this work, I think that there would have to be a good handful of changes. I don't know. What's your first impression?
Yeah, so it's a what it's a black to colorless and wait, so I have a this is a question because I don't, I play Magic some. So what is the difference between or no, not the difference, but what's the terminology between like the one in this cost and then like say what Sol Ring produces um
Oh,
it's
like a
like
colorless mana?
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is Oh, and I did go out of my way to do this for what we're going to discuss. So, Magic has 5 different colors. There's black, green, blue, white, and red. Each of those colors kind of we call it a color identity. They each have things that they do normally, right? So like black has effects like this where you can just outright kill a creature. That's not really something that green would be capable of. They would have to like green represents nature, right? So if they wanted to remove a creature, they'd have to put one on the battlefield and then make it fight almost like a Pokemon. Um, and so this one costing 1 and a black means that it's one of any color and then one black pip as well, which you would get from lands.
Yeah. And then what is it? There are some things that cost what's it like that colorless diamond symbol. Um
Yeah, the colorless diamond symbol, that's just waste.
oh, okay.
Um, but yeah.
Okay. So anyways, this is a it like just gets rid of something. So in Pokemon, if like a card is because it's like it like dies, right? It would trigger like a
Hmm.
death trigger. So if you get knocked out in Pokemon, then you give up prize cards, which is like prize cards are the way you win the game. Versus Doomblade is I mean it helps you because it gets rid of something, but it like that's all it does. It's not I mean it could have like synergy with something, but it's removal. It's not like damage. So if you play this, and if it was just a a card that knocks something out, then it would be kind of like a removal, but also like a lightning bolt or something, where it's also like actively working towards winning the game, which is like obviously stronger
Yeah.
than it's supposed to be. And it's like a really powerful lightning bolt. It would be like a I mean, it's one of 6 prizes. Well, no, if it could knock out anything, it could theoretically take 2 or even 3, or I guess theoretically more prizes. So I think it should discard the Pokemon from play. So there's a card Giratina and Garchomp Tag Team GX or just GX. There might be other cards like this. I'm not super familiar with all of them. But Giratina and Garchomp was a pretty good card with the attack GG end. And yeah, I mean, pretty much it just lets you discard one of your opponent's Pokemon from play. There's some more stuff to it. But yeah, something like that we have seen in Pokemon, not that much. Um, and also if you get rid of all your opponent's Pokemon, you do just win.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I was actually thinking of that. That's why. Well, for starters, I wanted to choose Doomblade instead of because effects like this for the color black are like a dime a dozen. You can find a thousand destroy target creature cards. I chose Doomblade for 2 main reasons. One, since it says destroy non-black, I would translate that into Pokemon as like destroy non-basic creature. And I also would like add like another stipulation to where if your opponent has like no other creatures on their bench, you can't play this card for like the explicit purpose of like they start the game and then they just automatically lose because you have 1 or 2 Doomblades in your hand, which sounds very unfun. And then also, um, if it could destroy basics, I think it could also swing games too just way too quickly by being in your opening hand and not ever really letting you get anything going.
Yeah, I was
So.
thinking I'd make this because it is an instant, so it can be played at any time. But I think I was thinking I'd probably make it a supporter card. So you cannot
Mhm.
use it turn one going first, meaning that you can't like get rid of your opponent's only Pokemon. And then anytime you can play a supporter is also anytime you'd be able to attack, and anytime you attack, obviously you can knock something out and get something off of the board.
Mhm.
So I think it would be. I mean, if you turn one going second, you played this as your supporter, got rid of something, and also attacked, that'd be really powerful. But I think is that I would just discard something. The non-black, I mean, it is. I don't know. I mean, I think the non-basic works well in terms of what it does. In terms of theming, it could obviously just be like a card that's not a certain type. But
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like making it non-basic is like useful. I mean, I feel like getting rid of an evolution is more almost swingy, because then that's something your opponents put more resources into, versus a basic they put less resources into. I mean, they could have
That's
had a
fair.
bunch of energy, but I feel like if it was just a supporter that said discard when your opponent's Pokemon to play, I'm trying to think if there's anything like that, because you compare this with an attack. And then there was also Pokemon Dusknoir. Dusknoir actually, it's a very powerful Pokemon in the TCG. It knocks itself out, so it gives up a prize, but it puts 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and this can knock out a Pokemon and can be used to theoretically like really mess with your opponent's board. I feel like playing your supporter for the turn, just to get rid of a Pokemon, and also not to uh take any prizes on like Dusknoir does, then I feel like it might be okay if it was just discard one of your opponent's Pokemon and play on a supporter. It could be like not
Mhm.
basic or something, but I feel like it might be okay if it was just discard it. Um, And yeah, I mean, it could win you the game very quickly, but there are other things that can also do that as well. So I feel like it's powerful, but
Mhm.
fair-ish.
Yeah, that was my goal. I didn't want to make it to where it was so strong that it was unfun, but I also could see like somebody playing an evolution and then getting just totally destroyed by this, and that sounds rough as well. But you know what? Removal is pretty rough in Magic too. Sometimes you just got to eat your Cheerios.
Yeah. Um, but then we got another card here for a Pokemon card. This one can also hit different Pokemon can hit bench. This is actually paired with Dusknoir I was just talking about in standard right now. This is Dragapult EX. This is a card that according to you is bad. But yeah, we talked
Okay,
about
wait.
it.
I'm still upset about this. I can't believe this card is as good as it is.
Yeah, it's
Actually, you know what? I can believe it now, but
Yeah. Also, I will say the previous evolution is like quite good. I like kind of underplayed it or downplayed it in the video, because I mean I kind of talked about it a little
yeah,
in
I read your comments. I felt a little vindicated because I
the.
remember asking you, and you're like, it's like all right.
Yeah. I didn't want to give too much away. It is good, but the previous evolution, but I mean this card has even seen play without it, in a different deck. But anyways, it's also in expanded format, the older format, or like the format which includes older cards as well as newer cards. This is also played without the previous evolution and is part of the best deck in the game, a very important piece of the best deck in the game. Um, in that format that again people don't really play that much, but that's fine. So anyway, so what this card does, it's a stage 2. It's a dragon type here. It is a Terra as well, giving it bench immunity. And then it has 2 attacks, Jet Headbutt. For 1 color, it's doing 70. And for Fire Psychic, you do 200. Put 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon in any way you like there. Obviously, like the numbers are a lot higher than a Magic, but it's doing good chunk of damage to like regular damage, and also doing some like extra damage spread around.
Yeah, to me, this screams mono red dragon. There are a lot of effects like this, where when your dragon enters the battlefield and it attacks, it'll deal damage to any target. Now, the difference, like between this and Pokemon, obviously, in Pokemon they can't just attack the trainer the player, I should say, directly. And in Magic they could, which is actually a pretty significant part of those the creatures. Um, but I still think that the effect it can be good. In Magic, it's usually not that strong though, because at the end of every turn, creatures heal. So doing something like 6 damage counters uh to an individual creature wouldn't mean anything unless it could actually kill it. And in that case, it could be decent, but it's usually pretty weak.
Yeah, I will say with Dragon Ball EX, sometimes it's used to set up knockouts. For example, there's a powerful Pokemon Standard Gholdengo EX, and it has 260 HP, so you're often looking to Phantom Dive one, or sometimes you're looking to do this and then Phantom Dive the other. Well, I guess you Phantom Dive the one in the active and hit the other on the bench, and then the next turn you switch them, and then you knock them both out on that turn. In which case, yeah, the healing thing in Magic would like you wouldn't be able to do that. But in other situations, you're able to pair it with. Wait, so is damage healed at the end of turn or like between phases?
It's healed at the end of turn.
Okay, so there are things like I mean I mentioned Dusknoir earlier, but there's also like Hawlucha, which puts 1 damage counter to your opponent's Pokemon, and that paired with this will allow you to do 70 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, which then there are a lot of bench basics that have 70 HP. So then you're gonna like pick them off in just 1 turn. Um, and yeah, I mean this is something that's like it's extra damage, which is nice, but it also allows you to, again, like it's removal, getting rid of targets there. Um, but it was
Mhm.
also like a big setup in terms of it's a stage two, which I feel like is kind of difficult to translate.
Yeah, and well, another thing too is that I guess if I was to translate this into a Magic card, and what would make this a lot more reasonable is that it's for Phantom Dive, you're playing in Magic. I would just call this one red, one black. For most of the effects that deal damage directly in Magic are like super overcosted. Like you're paying like 4 mana to do 1 point of damage, and you know the average creature in Magic has 3 or 4 points of health. So it's really kind of ineffectual for this though. 6 damage counters for 2 would be pretty good in Magic, and also if I read if I was to translate the evolution scheme in Magic, it would be kind of like requiring a bunch of meld creatures, like very specific creatures in a row to get this to work. And in that case, usually Magic makes those creatures very powerful. In exchange, I mean, obviously, effects like Doomblade are much more rampant in Magic, so I don't know how much to compare, but I would say if you were playing Dragapult in a deck, you would reasonably expect to be able to get to the stage 2 and then get value out of this card, right?
Yeah. Wait, in Pokemon?
In Magic, yeah, in Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like I mean, it's your game plan. It's like the core of your game
Mhm.
plan. So, yeah,
I would say that even trying to make this the core of your game plan in Magic would be really unreliable because of counter spells and removal spells and things like that. So like I just think that it's just how the two games are so different in terms of interaction. But if you could pull this off in Magic, then you would be expecting to get a powerful effect like Phantom Dive. Yeah.
yeah. And then wait, so in terms of evolutions, I think also because like Magic, um, over the course of the game, you get like more lands and more mana to like cast bigger spells. Pokemon has
Hmm.
energy, but it also has like evolution, which so it has like two different timers. So you could almost like combine them into one and just have it like be like I don't know, like the stage adds like another one. So maybe it's like red, black, and three to like cast something um
Hmm.
that like does some like pings in different Pokemon or different creatures, and then does like a has like high power toughness or something, or like
Hmm.
decent power toughness.
I've noticed that too. Like a big thing of in comparison between Pokemon and Magic is that I feel like in Pokemon it seems like it's fairly easy to get your deck set up to do what you want to do. Like you have trainers and stuff that do really strong effects like discarding your entire hand and drawing 7 cards. And evolving is something that you could reliably well, I mean, I think that a well-constructed deck is probably looking to get their stage 2 within, 2 or 3 turns, right? Like that sounds reasonable, right?
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's you should get it. Like if you don't get it, it's because you've gotten unlucky. And then you're
Mhm.
probably not like you're gonna get it when you want it. Or if you don't, then you're just completely dead drawing and you're not really doing anything at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, because like in Magic, I would say that it's more of like a slower build up, and once you get to the point where you're strong in Magic, you're kind of always strong and threatening until the end of the game. Once you're at like 5 or 6 mana, whereas in this game, I the matches I played in Pokemon, sometimes my main game plan just kind of gets hosed, and then well, that's it, because they just
Yeah.
get something on like board that's too strong for me to recover from.
Yeah, and also one thing that is different though is I mean there is removal in Magic, but also losing your Pokemon in Magic also loses you your energies. So like energies
Yeah.
are worth less than lands are in Magic. Wait, lands are like
Hmm.
how many lands do you play in like a deck that's in like a competitive format?
It depends on your game plan, but usually somewhere between like 16 to 24 for the 60 card formats, I'd say is normal.
Okay, so that's like double Pokemon or something like that because there
Hmm.
are more search options and then you can like recover them. I mean you don't need lands or I mean you don't need energies to play. I mean, you need it. You kind of need it to like do stuff, but it's not like the starting block. Unlike with Magic, where your lands like you
Hmm.
can't like draw your cards or whatever without it.
Yeah, yeah, I do think that that's really important to note, because that like if you had no lands in Magic, even like the strongest cards in the game are totally meaningless, and something like drawing a supporter. like the discard draw 7. I'm just going to keep referring to that one because it's always mind blowing to me. But you could draw that, and in Magic, that would be a huge amount of mana to cast, and so that could just be a totally dead draw at certain stages of the game.
Yeah. So so what would you say like in terms of cost if it's not meld? I feel like if you make every evolution Pokemon like meld, that's not.
That's fair. Yeah,
Um,
it's not going to be very helpful. If I was to just make this a straight casting cost, um, let's say that it did 6 damage to where whatever you wanted. That would be really, really strong. It would probably have to be a 6 mana or higher creature, and it would have pretty good stats for that. Like it'd probably be somewhere in the realm of like a 6/6 or something.
yeah,
Which is that's a pretty tough creature in Magic. I'm sure it
yeah,
sounds very underwhelming in Pokemon where the damage numbers are in the 100s.
yeah. And then wait, so you're saying 6 to 1 or 6 spread out with the
Oh,
ability?
I would say 6 to put the creature on the battlefield, and then every time you wanted to activate the ability, 2 mana, and
Okay.
that would be fairly strong if you could put that on the battlefield.
Yeah. Wait, no. And then the ability does the ability put 6 damage counters on one, or does it spread them out as well?
Oh, if you had the ability to spread it out, that would be even stronger.
Yeah.
I still think that it would be reasonable to have it cost 6 and then 2 to activate the ability. It would
Okay.
just be like one of the kind of creatures that your opponent plays and then you have to remove it very quickly, but Magic is loaded with that nowadays. So
Yeah. Yeah, because this card is, as I said, very strong. It's been not like the singular best deck in the game since it came out, but it's been very good. But anyways, we spent a bunch of time on this card. But what's your next card here?
next card is Relentless Assault. It is going to be 2 colorless and 4 red mana. It's a sorcery where you this is normally going to be played on the post combat phase. So the magic turn is split. And the simplest way to describe a magic turn is there's a pre combat phase, there's your combat phase, and then there's your post combat phase. This one would be normally played during the post combat phase, so after combat, and then you would untap all creatures that attack this turn, and then after this main phase, there's going to be another combat phase and then another main phase after that.
Yeah.
So essentially 2 combats.
Yeah. So this is, I think, trying to think exactly how I do this. There are ways to attack twice in Pokemon. There is the
Mhm.
Festival Lead deck, which there's Diplin, which in standard it has. I mean, it has like an attack that's like fine, but then it has an ability that lets you attack twice. If you like, if a certain stadium's in play, which this stadium doesn't really do much of anything for the deck outside of allowing you to attack twice. And we've seen different cards like this, but for the most part, they're all on like the Pokemon themselves attack twice, as opposed to something else enabling it. Because this should be like presumably it should be a trainer. So and if like
Mhm.
a trainer lets you attack twice, that's that's very powerful. I mean, imagine like attacking with like Dragapult EX twice or something like that. You'd probably
Yeah.
just win. I mean, maybe not literally win on the spot, but it'd be like really powerful.
Mhm.
So
Especially considering it, because you're allowed to have 4 copies of that in your deck, right?
yeah. Um,
Yeah,
and
that
in
sounds very strong.
yeah, I mean, it just like just playing one. I don't think you need multiple copies because I mean, with Relentless Assault, like you can play it over and over again if you have enough mana. Is this card good or is it like bad or is it okay?
This card, I would say that this card is good only because there are not very many effects like it. Um, and most of them cost around this much. I think if this card was any cheaper, like if it was 3 mana or less, it would be like considered a very, very strong card. As it stands right now, it's just a fair card. It's definitely played, but it's not like anything insane.
Yeah. So
Oh,
again,
also,
oh,
but before we continue, can I specify that this is the cards that I picked today were with Commander in consideration, not competitive Modern.
okay,
I don't think this would be played in competitive Modern.
okay. Um, so yeah, looking at as I said, Pokemon like attacking twice. A lot of the Pokemon that is on are like bad. I mean, in terms of their attacks, they're bad. I mean, they're not like I'd say they're attacking twice, which is essentially doubling your damage, right? Um,
Hmm.
gives them equal to. like a regular Pokemon attacking once. For the most part. Yeah, one benefit is you can knock out two Pokemon, because the one can get knocked out and then like they send them something else, so that's like could be good. Additionally, you can double up on damage buff cards like tools or something that just increase the amount of damage you do. You do it twice, so that's cool.
Mhm.
But again, those are like relatively I don't know if I'd say niche, but they're not like crazy impactful. Um,
I would say that the strongest part of this card for Magic is specifically so we have these things called combat triggers, which they're kind of like Dragapult's ability, where like you're doing the Phantom Dive, right? Like that's just your attack, but because you're using that attack, you're getting the free, well, quote unquote free extra 6 damage to distribute as you like to the bench. Uh, re- Triggered combat abilities in Magic are pretty strong. It's rare that you need an extra combats just to get creature damage through. You're usually doing it for some kind of gimmick like that.
yeah, and Pokemon has things like that. I mean, there's like a card Bumblebee. This is a because I guess you've mostly seen attacks that like do damage in Pokemon. So
Yeah.
like Bumblebee is a card that's very strong. I guess I'm not super familiar with Expanded right now, but it's not technically an ability, but it's pretty much an ability. And it lets you attack twice, and it has two different attacks. This is actually really cool, because you can do like one attack and then do the other attack, but the one mills one from your opponent, and then the one recovers a card from your discard into your deck. It gets shuffled in. And so you can like mix and match. There's also it's honestly it's a card I really like. There's a bunch of weird things you can do with it.
Mhm.
But I think the doing so you said that like the extra damage, that's not the main thing that this card does, right, in Magic? Or not the main use.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not the main use.
So you could
Damage isn't really hard to get through in Magic.
yeah. So maybe it would be something like, I mean, I don't know, people in like other formats often like with custom rules often like say like, oh, turn one you going first, you can like attack but you can't like do damage, but then it gets like kind of weird, where like
Mhm.
there's all these like edge cases. So I feel like making something like that where just like letting you attack again but not do damage is like confusing, in a way that isn't so
Mhm.
good. Maybe it doesn't let you. Maybe it could just make your opponent like. I guess it could still just make your opponent immune to damage from the second attack or something like that. I mean, most attacks in the game though in Pokemon are just. Well, no, not most attack, but most of the attacks that you're using a lot are allowing you to like do big damage. I'm also thinking about this because you do get the extra main phase. So does that matter that much, or does that not matter?
It actually can matter. The weird thing is that like in decks where it would matter, you're probably not running Relentless Assault.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking about this because it's like almost like an extra turn as well. I mean,
Mhm.
it's in Magic. It's not. You don't get to play another land. You don't get to draw an extra card. Wait, what's the most powerful part about extra turn spells in Magic?
In extra turn spells, the most powerful part is it's probably playing an extra land. I mean, yeah, I would say it's just playing an extra land.
Okay.
There's like this ongoing like running joke with some of my friends that like you're playing it and it's like because green has access to ramp and we just call the extra turn spells bad ramp spells sometimes as a
Yeah.
joke.
But it could be like there are things in Pokemon that let you take an extra turn that are like, I mean, they're like usually really limited. But I think maybe it's just like something just a supporter, you like get an extra attack and then your opponent doesn't send up a new Pokemon if they get knocked out. They just leave it on the bench, and then that means that you're not able to attack the active like a second time.
Mhm.
I feel like something like that would be fair. You could get utility, or maybe your turns.
I also think uh, well I was gonna say I also think like so in Pokemon you have to have a creature in play or else you lose the game,
Yeah,
which means that like most of the time if you get an extra turn you're probably gonna attack because like there's never really a downside to attacking Pokemon, right? Like
yeah. It's not like you take damage when you attack.
yeah. So I would say that like in Magic, you might play an extra turn spell and get actually no value out of it. Like let's say you play it because it's your last ditch option, and you just draw a card that you can't play, then you might get literally zero value. Whereas at the very least in Pokemon, you can still attack.
Yeah. So I think maybe it's you could like your turn doesn't end when you attack, and then you just are able to yeah, but your opponent doesn't set up an extra Pokemon, you can't hit into it. Something like that as a supporter. I feel like that's
Hmm.
fair. And then you can like switch into another Pokemon that has like utility attack to draw your cards or something like that. So I think this is definitely interesting. Attacking twice in Pokemon is really fun. Except for there's a format which like a small format which the best deck it was a I'll say it's kind of like Commander. It's like it's I don't even remember what it is. I'm not gonna lie. It's like single prize and or I think it's like Pauper actually. But anyway, so the best deck was the Festival League deck I was talking about, where you attack twice. And then they changed it, so they are now doing a different format, which is the same thing, except it's only one type, but the type is the the one that had the broken card in it. So yeah, extra turns can be annoying, but for the most part, or double attacks, but for the most part, they're kind of um, they're cool if they're not super powerful, allowing you to attack an extra time when like any deck is I think too much. So you just need to make it so that you can't hit a Pokemon twice. It might be too powerful with something like Dragapult, but I think it's kind of fair. And you're not able to play an extra supporter. It's not like a true extra turn with this. So yeah. Um,
Hmm.
but then speaking of energy acceleration or like ramp or whatever, the next card I have here is Gardevoir EX. This is the other top deck, or at least it was. There's also Goldengo EX, but the Gardevoir EX here, this is a card with the ability Psychic Embrace, which says, oh, and this is also a stage 2 and it's Psychic. And it's an EX as well. I guess we didn't really talk about that. So Dragapult EX is a 2-prizer, so it gives up something more. So it is a bit of a liability in some sense. Um, but I don't know how that would translate. Maybe just like a legend or like legendary creature. I don't know. That's like different, but
Yeah, it could be a legendary. Well, honestly, I'd say that legendary is kind of a minor downside, but giving
yeah,
up two prizes seems to be kind of significant.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think like if there's maybe if it like died, you like lost life or something like that. But anyway,
that
so
that was what immediately came to mind to me. Yeah.
Um, but I don't know how like bad that is. But I guess it can definitely be kind of bad if you're like losing a lot of life as well. But anyways, Gardevoir EX here is a card that says as often as you like during your turn, you can attach a basic Psychic Energy from your discard to one of your Psychic Pokemon, and then if you do, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. And also this cannot be used to knock a Pokemon out. It's not like you won't knock it out. You just aren't able to attach energy there. And then it also has an attack here, Miracle Force, which does 190 for 3, 2 which are psychic. And then it also recovers from all special conditions when it attacks. I'm not gonna lie, the recovering from special conditions is almost meaningless. Special conditions are wait, so are you familiar with them?
That would be like burn and paralyze and things like that, right?
Yeah. So there's 5 of them, and 2 of them like do a little bit of damage, burn and poison. And then the other there's one that you flip a coin if tails you can't attack, and the other 2 are also you can't attack. So like half of them you can't attack. So you can't use the attack to cure them. And the other ones just do like a little bit of damage. So that's I guess I've seen it matter in actually have I seen it matter in games? I'm not sure if I've literally ever seen it matter. But yeah, that's the card.
I can tell you right now, if Psychic Embrace was an ability that was in Magic, I mean, obviously it would depend on the cost of the creature, but this would be really, really strong. I think that to translate, so obviously damage counters, it wouldn't be permanent in Magic, but we do have something called -1/-1 counters, which they permanently increase the health and like damage that a creature is able to do. Um, and so every time that you would remove a land in this case from your graveyard and put it onto the battlefield, the creature would get a -1/-1 counter. I still don't, even if it was two -1/-1 counters, I still don't think that that would be able to compensate for how strong this is. I mean, maybe I'm overvaluing it a little bit because I guess you could end up sacrificing a significant portion of your board for land, but I don't know. I think sacrificing creatures for land would definitely be worth it in the right deck if
Yeah.
you were building around it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think maybe I should do damage directly to you as well. Um
That could be reasonable. It would definitely be more in flavor for black. I think like it for this to be a Magic card, it would have to have black and green in the casting cost. Um, because the color pie, well, we call it the color pie. It's kind of like a very important theme in Magic that you can't really break.
Yeah, because green has ramp, like energy acceleration, and then black would have the self damage, right?
Yeah, and the self damage and the -1/-1 counters are very black oriented things, and being able to take land from the graveyard is a very green oriented thing. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's also Gardevoir, and I feel like it kind of fits with like her whole aesthetic too. So
Yeah. I don't really think
the
of it.
Miracle Force.
Oh, sorry.
Go.
So the like green is like grass though. And Gardevoir is like psychic. So in terms of like literal color, Gardevoir is like green, but it's not.
Oh, have I been misreading the psychic type this entire time? I thought that that was dark. Is the eyeball
Oh,
psychic?
yeah, the eye is psychic. So but it's like
Okay.
it's kind of similar. I'd
Yeah.
say psychic though might have more to do with blue as well.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
but anyways, so and then because like looking at the types in Magic or the colors, like red's like fire, right? That's the same.
Mhm.
Blue's water, green's grass, and then black is darkness, and then I mean the white color in Pokemon's colorless. So that's kind of different, but
Yeah.
maybe like lightning or something. But then there's all these
Mhm.
like extra colors or types, so it's just kind of weird.
Mhm. But I was gonna say the Miracle Force. I'm not really sure how to implement that in Magic because Magic doesn't really have special effects for creatures. If they do, they're very temporary. Like until end of turn, your creature loses 1 power of toughness. And if it had the ability to, because my initial thought was like, oh, okay, well, it could just remove the -1/-1 counters. But then I think it's like dangerously close to becoming easy to infinite with, because then you could just, if you had a creature that was able to take 6 damage counters without dying, then you could just keep on removing them with Miracle Force, like removing them every single time. So you would get 3 lands, right, and then you would pay 3 into Miracle Force to remove the the -1/-1 counters off of them, and then just keep doing that over and over again. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure exactly how you could translate that into Magic without it being dangerous. I guess you know what, you could make it a tap ability. Um, and if your viewers don't know what tapping is in Magic, creatures can only be tapped 1 time a turn, and then they get untapped at the start of your turn. And tapping is kind of like universally used to like show that a creature's exerted. It's like whenever you go to combat and attack with them, they get tapped and different things like that.
yeah, it's like attacking, but it's a little different, but it's so yeah. I feel like Gardevoir is definitely. I mean, this card in the Pokemon TCG is like really good as well. This one's probably. I mean, it's one of the best Pokemon in the game right now, and maybe ever, to be honest. I mean, it literally accelerates all your energy from the discard into play if you want. I mean, it does damage
Yeah, I
you,
mean
but
that
like,
seems really. It seems really good. Like I read this the first time and I was like, wow, that seems good in Magic and in Pokemon.
yeah. This card when it was revealed, I was like, this card's absurd, and a lot of people were like, yeah, this card's absurd. And then it's funny. So obviously, like rotation's a thing in Pokemon where you lose the older cards. So this originally when it came out, it had a bunch of cards that synergized with that like needed a bunch of energy. One of them was another Gardevoir, so it's the same evolution line. It worked really well together. And then they rotated, and people were like, "Yeah, this is gonna be bad." And then it switched, and then but it still had this Curlia, which was like we were talking about Drakeloak, the previous evolution to Dragon Ball, and that's like decent. But Curlia is
Hmm.
better than that. People were, after that
Oh
rotated,
wow.
people are like, or I don't know. I mean, you discard one, draw two, which I'd say is a bit better. Um,
Hmm.
every turn. So and then after that rotated, people are like, "This is gonna be bad," but no, it's still good. But also the funny thing is, after that first rotation, because obviously this is powerful because it gets a lot of energy onto your board. But now people are playing it a good amount for the damage counters. There's Pokemon like Drifloon and Screamtail and also Monkey Dory, and they essentially do damage based on damage counters on them or like move damage counters around. It's not like the energy isn't useful; it's still very useful.
Hmm.
But also the damage counters are a very important part of it, which is kind of funny. Obviously in Magic, I like getting -1/-1 counters on you is like that's bad, right? Like always bad.
It's generally always bad, and they're generally really difficult to remove.
Yeah. Um, and then yeah, I mean Gardevoir is like an interesting card there. So this would be you said green black.
Yeah, I would say this is a green black style of effect.
And how much mana do you think it would cost, like in total?
Oh, for this effect, I would say that this would probably be a 4 or 5 CMC creature. It definitely depends on the power and toughness. I mean, I don't know how much 310 and 190 is, but that seems like on, well, maybe not a higher end for damage, but definitely for health, it seems to be on the higher end.
Yeah, I'm trying to
So
think. It would probably be like, again, is
maybe
it
like
too
a 5
pricey?
5.
No. Well, what's like the highest? So, what's like a powerful creature in like a
And
really powerful creature in Magic?
powerful creatures that aren't gimmick creatures usually top out at like around 6 power, 6 toughness. I mean, sometimes you'll see things at 7 or 8. And you can definitely go higher than that, but usually when you get to that point, they're kind of like joke creatures that are really bad, and they're just kind of there to be there for the stats.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like this is pretty high. I mean, the highest in the game, I guess, is technically 380, but before the one with the 380 and actually 360, which is Mega Gardevoir from the same line. But ignoring those, there's going to be like 340 would be the highest. So this is like 30 less, which is like one less from the max ever
Mhm.
equivalent in Magic, which would put it at like
I mean, if
like a
so, if I was to put it that
like
way,
a
maybe like a
810.
4-7.
Oh.
Okay, 8-10 is
Oh
crazy.
yeah, no, it'd be too
There's
strong.
no
But
way.
this is or maybe not
Yeah.
eight, like a 610 or something. Like it's
If it
like
had
it's
6-10 and an effect this strong, there's no way it would be 4 mana.
yeah.
That'd be like way closer to like 6 or 7 mana.
Yeah, no, I feel like it should be like a lot. Um, I feel like this should be like some, 6, 7,
Hmm.
8, maybe. I don't know. I like what's a like 6 is like a lot, right?
Yeah, 6 is a lot. The only reason that I said 4 is because like usually this would be like a lower power toughness creature, but like because the idea is that you like generally acceleration effects you want to play them quickly in Magic, so having this at 7 mana kind of defeats the purpose, because if you're gonna play this for 7 mana, I mean you probably have just played a creature or like a combination of cards that win the game at 7. So they'd probably tone her stats down quite a bit and make her much more reasonable in combat, and then that way you could still have this nice acceleration effect that
Yeah.
would totally not be pushed
Yeah.
if
Um,
WotC got their hands on it.
yeah. No, this is a good card. But then what's your next card here?
My next card is Consecrated Sphinx. I'm very excited to see how you'll analyze this one. So it's a 6 mana, 4 colorless, 2 blue, uh, flying creature Sphinx. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards, and it has 4 power and 6 toughness, which for blue creatures is very strong. I should also point out that I don't know if Pokemon is like this. I kind of doubt it, but in Magic, you can kind of expect to get more or less power and toughness on a creature based on how much mana you're paying and also the color types that are in it. Like green creatures are usually very big, blue and red creatures are usually very small, and then white and black creatures are anywhere along the chart.
Yeah, I'd say Pokemon's kind of it's like that to some extent.
Hmm.
Like fighting, grass, metal. These are like I'd say bigger types, like potentially more
Hmm.
expensive, more higher HP, high damage, less like other stuff going on. It's definitely a lot looser than it is in Magic. I mean, it's because it's adapted from a video game. So there's obviously 10 types in speaking of 10 types, everyone should subscribe. But there's 10 types in the Pokemon TCG. But then there's like I think 18 types in the video game, so they're like condensed. And then they've also changed, so it gets like all muddled and stuff. But anyways,
Hmm.
so this here is obviously it would be a water type Pokemon here. It like draws the weird thing. Obviously, presumably this is drawing you. I mean, it could draw cards, I guess, on your turn, but that seems unlikely. So it's
Hmm.
drawing when your opponent's draws on their turn, or whenever. Um, and you don't really do stuff on your opponent. I mean, you don't do stuff from your cards on your opponent's turn, really. Which is kind of weird. Um, I'm trying to think exactly how. I mean, you could just put this on a Pokemon with
I
an
was
ability.
thinking that it
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that it would be a Pokemon ability. I mean, it seems like really, really strong. I mean, in Magic, this effect is really strong, especially if you're playing Commander, because Commander is 4 players. So even if your opponent only draws their starting card for turn in Commander, this would be drawing 6 cards. And in Pokemon, I mean, they're always going to draw at least 1 card. So they draw one, and then you get two. If they play a supporter and draw 7, then you draw 14. It would be a pretty strong effect in Pokemon, I think.
Trying to think, you might if you play this, your opponent might deck you out. Um,
Yeah,
like they might
I mean,
just try
because
to
card
draw as
draw's
much.
so good.
Yeah.
But would
Um,
that be good enough, or would that backfire on them, do you think? Because I mean, in Magic, if you were to draw that many cards, usually you can put something together to win the game pretty quickly.
well, like they could. I mean, if like in Magic and you're tapped out, and then your opponent makes you draw your entire library, you just lose, right? So like I'm trying
Yeah,
to
but
think.
it's also much harder to make someone do that in Magic, to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
fair.
But he like in Pokemon, I mean, if they play, I'm trying to think. You like play Professor's Research or like Lose Determination, drawing like 7 or 8 cards, and you could use. I mean, let's say you play this just turn one. If this is like a basic, it's probably wouldn't be a basic. But if it was a basic, play it turn one going first. Then your opponent they draw for turn. They play Lily's Determination, so that's 9 cards there. They use Squawkabilly EX to draw another 6. Then you've drawn 30 cards. I don't think they could make you deck out turn one, but like, um, I don't
Wow, I
know.
was not expecting your number one fear when I showed you this card to be that you draw too many cards.
I'm not sure if that like that's probably not going to happen. I mean, but if this card was good, people could play cards to probably get you to deck out. Um, I'm not sure though, but and also
I mean,
like
that was definitely a thing in Magic. For a while, there was this card that was really good at drawing cards called Up the Beanstalk. And for a while, the meta kind of just shifted to you just play control and you let them deck themselves out by playing too many Up the Beanstalks.
oh, um, oh, so it says when it enters. Oh, and yeah, whenever you cast a spell with Fire Regrader. Yeah, there was a deck like that as well in Pokemon Mew V Max with Genesect V, and you just could draw a bunch of cards. I mean, with that deck, you could definitely draw um right there. I mean, you could probably draw your entire deck on the first turn if you want to. That's like bad. People like it's like the ability lets you draw. You can draw like you can relatively easily draw certainly 10 cards a turn. The max you could draw with that with all the cards. Each one lets you draw up to. I'll just say Genesect V has an ability that lets you draw until you have as many Pokemon in play as, or as many cards in hand as Fusion Strike Pokemon in play, which is you're gonna just play those Pokemon, so, presumably. So that'll be assuming you have a full bench, which isn't hard to do. Draw till you have 6, but each one can do this every turn.
Mhm.
So you can draw till 6 4 times every turn, and you can like thin your hand for the most part most of the time. So you could draw like 24 cards if you want to every turn. If you do that twice, you've lost presumably. So. Um, yeah, but I mean, this card, if it was just ability, it would probably be like a stage one, just with an ability. Whenever your opponent draws, you draw two. Again, that's not something you really see in Pokemon, like at all. Doing
Mhm.
something during your opponent's turn from your card. But you like could do it. I can't really think of another way to do it that fits what Pokemon would do. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess it could be a Pokemon because you can have like effects on you. It could when you use the ability. Then you get an effect that lets you do something. That's also kind of weird. So I'm not exactly sure how to. I mean, I know how I like. You could just like slap this wording on an ability, and it like works exactly how you think. Um. You don't
But it
have
would
to
be
draw two.
weird.
I just realized you don't have to draw the cards. So you're not gonna dig yourself out. If it's optional.
Oh, does Pokemon have you may effects versus you must, like, or you
Um.
will do something?
Yeah, I mean the main thing that's a Yume, which is this is true in Magic, I'm assuming, is when you play a search card, like in Magic you have like a fetch land, in Pokemon you have like an energy search or Pokemon search card, you can always fail it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because your opponent doesn't know that you have those in your deck technically. So
Mhm.
that's why I did it that way in Pokemon anyway. So um yeah, and there are Yume effects. Those actually aren't Yume effects, I realized. They say you have to do it, but then it's possible to fail it. But yeah, there are definitely Yume effects. So because I was gonna say if two players have this, then they just like deck themselves out. But you don't have to. So um, this card also speaking of in Commander, so this card I know is a game changer. Is it like that common that two people have it and they just like draw as much as they want?
um, I feel like if I played with more people that played blue, it would be more common. The few friends that I do that do play blue cards have ran this card, and it is usually fairly strong. And if they did do this, yeah, they could just keep drawing forever. I mean, they could both deck themselves if they really wanted to, off of one card draw.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, it'd just be like pretty much exactly how it's written. Again, I put it on a stage one. You could even put it like 6 mana is probably closer to a stage two. Stage two draw effects just generally aren't super good. I mean, this like
Mhm.
draws you a bunch of cards. Also, what would happen? No, I was gonna say your opponent would like hit you with hand disruption. This is actually funny. There's a card Zero-6 Machinations, which forces your opponent to discard down to 3 cards in hand. I think this card is like super bad. But I keep like running into it, and people say it's like decent. But anyways, so that card could actually be good against this. If you played Iona, which is a general hand disruption, it like shuffles their hand, puts on the bottom of their deck, they draw some more cards, but then your opponent also draws more cards, so you could also use Consecrated Sphinx again. But anyways, I think yeah, it's long story short, it's like pretty much what it sounds like. I could actually see it on a stage two now that I think about it. Um, yeah, with just an ability that says it does what it does. In terms of stat line, it would probably be 6 is like pretty like decently tough, I guess.
I would say that six is fairly tough. It's definitely always something like you consider when toughness starts to get this big, it's kind of like any more after that is kind of irrelevant. Like you've hit 5 or 6, and like any more is just gravy 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. So maybe this would be trying to think if it should be an EX or not an EX. If it's a sport Pokemon, it matters a little less than an attacking option. And I'm just not really gonna think about the attack. The attack could maybe be, I mean, it could be like 200 for 3 if it's an EX, and then doing I mean like the same stat line as like Guardvolt EX or something like that. It would probably be
I
fine.
can't wait to see what the comment section says about this card if they say anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I gotta know. Well, like it's gotta be good, right? Like it's gotta be. I feel like it's gotta be strong. It's so much card draw. Maybe I just overvalue card draw because I'm a Magic player, but it's so much, and your opponent does anything, and I can't imagine playing a card that draws me 7 cards, and then
Yeah,
because of that, my opponent gets to draw 14.
yeah, but
It would
drawing
just be
like
crazy.
if you've already drawn 7 cards, you're not drawing 7 cards every turn, but you're like drawing a bunch. I mean,
Mhm.
you might be. So in that situation, like how more like getting like 20 more cards, like what are you even gonna do with those cards, right? Like
Yeah.
so and you have like most of your options already. It could be interesting. There's also there's like an Alakazam in standard that like does damage based on hand size. I guess that would be like super strong, but that's like I'm not counting that. Um and there's also a card I didn't include this one, but it's really funny. It's if you have 35 or more cards in your hand, you win. Um which I
Oh,
guess would
that's
be
cool.
that's an expanded. It's banned. I don't actually exactly know why it's banned. I don't think it's that good. But anyways, yeah. So let's move on to another card though here. My Shaman EX. This is a powerful card. The only one, or no, one of the two not in standard for Pokemon. This is banned is an expand as well. It's an EX, which is it's actually different than the other EX mechanic. Um, Functionally on this, it's actually the same. Don't worry about it too much. But anyways, it's a colorless Pokemon here, 110 HP, which is low. It's not. It's very low. For a 2 pricer. For a 1 pricer, it's like good, I guess. But and then you have this attack Sky Return for 2 colors. You do 30 return this Pokemon and attach cards to your hand when you attack. It's usable in some situations, specifically to pair with the ability Setup. Setup is absurdly powerful. When you place Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you get to draw until you have 6 cards in hand. Of course, you don't need to pay anything to play this card down, other than bench space, which isn't too bad. And then to draw theoretically a bunch of cards, and you can use as many Shaman EXs as you want during your turn as well. And there are ways to return it to your hand um, that are some are like good. I mean, the one that was played in standard was on a coin flip, you return a Pokemon to your hand, and it was played with this. This was I've mentioned to you before the supporter Lysander's trump card, which allows you to put your entire discard pile back into your deck. Actually, both players do, and then you'd pair this with Shaman EX and Scoop Up Net, or no, Super Scoop Up, which is the coin flip, return card to your hand. You just like run through your deck a bunch of times. I don't know if it's like a bunch of times in one turn, but you draw like uh is it like 30 cards? I don't know. You draw like a ton of cards. And then at the end of the turn, you'd item lock your opponent, so they can't like do anything. And then yeah, that got banned. So but Shaman EX is very very powerful because it can draw you a ton of cards.
Yeah, I this if I was trying to mentally picture this being a card in Magic, and the only way that this card isn't game breakingly strong is if it costs like some just ridiculous amount of mana. I mean, these effects are crazy. Like in Magic, they're like even if it didn't have Sky Return and it just had setup, it would be a great card.
Yeah,
But the fact that it can return itself to your hand, it would just be insane. I feel like this card would probably be banned in Magic too.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
so good.
I imagine if you like made the mana cost high enough, it would be bad, right? I mean, I guess there are
Oh yeah,
ways
I
to
mean
like.
you could make it unplayable. I'll be honest with you. For if you're thinking of doing something like putting it in your graveyard and reanimating it, usually, I mean, reanimating something for a one-time burst card draw is like not really worth the effort. You could just be doing something else. So the way that this card is strong is if it's good playable from your hand, and if the return cost is also reasonable. I don't know. This card has to be garbage or it's game breaking. There's just no way for it to be reasonable in Magic. I think the stat
Yeah,
line doesn't matter. It could be a 0-1 and it would still be ridiculous.
yeah. How much does stat line matter on cards in Magic versus like abilities? Because when I think of like Magic
It
cards, I think mostly about abilities, but
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, the stat line is not irrelevant, but it's definitely not as important as it is in Pokemon. Like I feel like the 110 HP and then the 30 damage for an ability, that seems really like underwhelming in Pokemon.
Um,
Um,
but I will say, like, on a support Pokemon, because this one's just going to be sitting on your bench most of the time, unless you are using Sky Return,
yeah.
which you can use. The 30 is it's not relevant, but um, it's for the most part irrelevant outside of a specific matchup where your opponent's Pokemon have 30 HP.
Mhm.
Um, but anyways, yeah. So like this will just be sitting on the bench, ideally the entire game. So then the attack, damage, and the HP don't matter. Obviously, if your opponent's able to knock it out some way by bringing it to the active, the HP does matter. But yeah, like stats on
Mhm.
Pokemon that are support-based Pokemon don't matter um that much. I think they matter less in Pokemon than Magic. Because like you want they can be like blockers to protect you from something big or like they have different use cases, I guess. I'm not exactly sure, but um
The reason why I would say that I don't believe the stats matter too much is because in Magic, like if you're playing a deck that wants to win through combat, your creatures are just generally going to be bigger than the people that you're going against, so that shouldn't be a concern. And then if you want to win through other means, then no, you don't really care about combat, so it's not a big deal. And since like in Magic, right? If I just in Pokemon, if you so this is an EX card, so if you just have to throw this at an enemy to like block, like because you have no other choice and it has to block, you would lose 2 cards, right?
yeah, your opponent would take two prizes.
Yeah, or yeah, you would lose 2 prizes. So in Magic, if you have a creature, let's say I have a 0-1 that does nothing and I don't really care much about it, and I throw that at an enemy's 99 creature that would otherwise kill me, I don't really lose much out of it except for just the little 0-1 creature that gets to block it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like you're not really blocking with stuff in Pokemon ideally either. They're pretty different
Mhm.
honestly
Yeah,
in terms
that's
of
fair.
combat. That's like probably the biggest
Yeah.
difference, I guess. Anyways, so yeah, this card how much is like 5. And then like if the return ability is like 2, is that like too strong or is that I don't know, I
Way
just
too
don't.
strong. Way too strong. So good. This effect is really good. I think. Okay, so like generally speaking, one we consider 1 mana for 1 card drawn to be a good rate. So if this thing is consistently drawing you 5 cards, That's like it's just really good. And oh, and I would also say in Magic we usually expect card draw effects to be either they sit on the battlefield and they don't really give you that many card draws, like it's like one or two draws a turn, or they do give you a lot of draws, but it's a sorcery, so it goes to your discard pile after. So with this being able to this thing potentially being able to return to your hand and then draw 6 cards over and over again. I mean, it's not likely you'd be able to use them all in Magic, but just the potential for it is it's so good. I
Yeah.
think like to keep it in line, it would need to be bare minimum like 6 to play and probably 3 or so to bounce it back to hand.
Okay.
But it,
Yeah.
it you know what? It could be made reasonable. It could be made reasonable through mana cost, I think. It'd
Okay.
still
Okay.
be really strong though.
Yeah. I mean, this in Pokemon, it just they like didn't care about balancing it, and it was
Yeah.
just like broken. It was broken in standard. It was broken and expanded. Um, it got more broken the more stuff came out. But anyways, yeah. So, what's your next card here, though?
Next card is the Commander Special Craterhoof Behemoth. This is a an 8 mana. It has 5 colorless and 3 green. It is a beast creature with haste, and when it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Um, and so Magic has this. It's an archetype of cards called Overrun because, like I was previously mentioning, right? It's really easy for creatures or players to run, one or two off creatures that don't really matter. Like in Magic, there are a lot of that just randomly create a 1/1 that means nothing. Like you're playing the card for a different effect, but it just happens to give you a random creature out of it just because. Or you play a creature that is it has an enter the battlefield effect that you care about, but other than that, it's pretty much like playing a sorcery and you just get a free creature that doesn't do anything else and sits around. And because of that, you have a bunch of expendable creatures that you can just throw at opponents whenever they swing something threatening at you, like a Tintin or something, right? Overrun effects are creature deck's solution to that problem, where they give you trample because anytime a creature has trample, any damage greater than the creature's toughness that is used to block it goes straight through to their owner. So if a creature has 3 toughness, they choose to block your Craterhoof Behemoth, which is now a 12/12 because of the ETB effect. The creature's controller would take 7 damage and their creature would die at the same time. It's very strong. Trample is a good effect.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think in Pokemon, this would be kind of like red damage or like hitting the bench. It's not the same. It's
Mhm.
kind of similar. I feel like that's like the idea there. Um, so is Craterhoof Behemoth, um, for the most part, does it matter that it's like if this was an 8 cost, what does it say, like not like sorcery or something, that like did the stuff except it wasn't a creature, didn't have haste, would it still be like about as good, or is the fact that it's a creature that can attack for more damage, is that very meaningful and like add more increase X by one?
It would be strictly worse off if it was a sorcery. I think it would still be played and playable, but it definitely benefits from being a just a 5/5 body. I'm gonna be honest with you, for 8 mana, a 5/5 body is really underwhelming. But it adds to the counter that it cares about when it enters the battlefield, and it's just another thing to swing with. So yeah, I would say it's definitely better that it's a creature.
Yeah. So this could be like a Pokemon with an on playability. Those are pretty common. And then you could do like a bunch more damage. I'm trying to think because there are abilities that increase the damage you do. And then there are also like, and Trample is kind of like a spread effect, but there's not. Maybe it could be because this when you play you generally win, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Your goal is definitely to you don't want to play this before you're sure that you can win.
Okay. Is it something that's like you can see coming from like a mile away, or is it a surprise or somewhere in the middle?
It will occasionally catch you off guard, but if somebody on the opposing side has 29 1/1 elves, you can probably expect that they're trying to play this card.
Yeah. So maybe it could be ability that so this would be like really powerful, but like it's hard to set up. I'm trying to think because abilities just generally aren't hard to set up. There's some abilities like there's a monkey door and a shuckle and stuff, and they require energies to work, but that's like pretty rare. Um,
Well, I was also thinking that maybe if you, because I was thinking trample might not translate well, um, and so would buffing your whole board, because you want to buff your whole board in Magic, but in Pokemon, I mean, your board is kind of benched. I was thinking that maybe he could just get an attack that does increased damage based off of how many creatures you have benched, or maybe if they're like stronger creatures, he gets even more power or something. Like if you have like tier twos or phase twos or phase ones on the bench, because there are other overrun style effects that are similar to that, where instead of caring about the amount of creatures, they care about like maybe the powers based off of uh your toughest creature.
yeah, I mean there are definitely
I believe the name is Ibix Pathbreaker. Yeah, that's the card I'm thinking of.
okay. So I feel like wait, sorry, what's it called?
Uh, a Pathbreaker Ibix. I said the name backwards.
Okay. Oh, okay. So so this gets is a similar style thing, but I think the number of cards or number of Pokemon play translates a little better. There's like Trapco CX a card, and a few cards like that, or a bunch of cards like this that do damage based on the amount of Pokemon that you have in play. I'm trying to think. There's actually a funny thing. There's a card Serena V and some other ones like it where you discard your Pokemon from your board and do damage based on it. Maybe it could be something like that. Maybe you don't discard them. Maybe it's just for each Pokemon you have in play, um, you get to do um some amount of damage. Like I mean, there are cards that like you get to do choose a Pokemon and play and do like a bunch of times and do like 30 damage to it. And it can be the same one or different ones. So something like that, where that number is determined by the amount of Pokemon you have in play. That'd probably just be the attack on the Crater Hoof Behemoth for I guess a bunch of energy. I mean, as I'm saying this, it doesn't sound that good, um, unless it just did like an absurd amount of damage, like just one shot all your opponent's Pokemon. But also, assuming it does damage, there are Terras, which I mean, you saw Dragapult EX, and there's a bunch of them. They're just immune to bench damage, so it wouldn't even like do anything.
Yeah.
I guess it could hit through effects, which is like kind of like trample. So maybe it just does an attack that does damage to like maybe it just does damage, or you know maybe you put damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon. You put one for each of your Pokemon in play. That's not that much. Maybe like you put like 3 for each of your Pokemon in play, or like 5 or something. And then
Mhm. Wow, 5 sounds like a lot.
it is a lot. Well, there needs to be like a lot of it. Maybe it's like 5 energy. Like 5 energy is like
Yeah.
the most energy you see. Except for the I'm trying to think how much. Maybe I'll show you this another weird card at the end, which is a lot more than 5 energy. But Greater Hoof Behemoth, like a translation would be like this would be like a stage 2 5 energy, and then essentially if you attack with it, you presumably win. I guess it's kind of weird because Craterhoof Behemoth itself isn't the card doing damage in Magic, but I feel like it translates all right. You could make it like a little have to do with like the Pokemon's HP or something, but that's kind of weird.
Hey,
So
don't
yeah,
scoff at Craterhoof. I've seen Craterhoof hit for 17 before.
yeah,
That thing can hit for a lot.
yeah. But the other stuff's also hitting for like
Okay,
12.
I know it's a drop in the pond, but like, look, man, don't short my man Craterhoof.
Yeah, well, it's not like it's doing all of it. Unlike with
Yeah.
the Pokemon version where it would be doing all of the damage. But yeah, I think it'd be something kind of like that, a big spread, but like very very expensive. 5 energy stage 2, which is like super hard to set up. Those cards are mostly bad, or pretty bad. Outside of Commander, is this like any good?
There's better things to do outside of command. Oh, the reason why this is so good in command is because 4-player game, your life total is in 20 in most of the other formats. In Commander, your life total starts at 40, and you have 3 opponents. So you have to consider that you need to deal 120 damage to win the game. So this is like overkill in a lot of the other formats, but in Commander, it's pretty good for being able to actually end the game.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it for Crater Hoof. I think it like translates decently. I think the idea translates well. I'm not sure if the exact execution translates really well. But moving on to the last
Gotcha.
Pokemon card here, we got an iconic Pokemon card. This card I think is actually I'm gonna say it's a little overrated by some people. Some people call it like I've seen it like ranked as I saw like a list of like the 10 best cards ever, and it was ranked 2, which it's like not. But it's very good. It's ADP Arceus and Palkia GX. This card was a tag team. It's not in standard anymore, and it's a card with 2 attacks here. Ultimate Ray for water, metal, colorless. You do also this is a tag team, so it is a 3 prizer, and it's a basic, and it's a GX, so it has a GX attack, which I'll get to. But anyways, so for 3 energy, you do 150. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Then you shuffle your deck. Then you have the attack Altered Creation GX. This is a GX Pokemon with a GX attack. You can use 1 GX attack per game. Most of the other GX attacks on other cards are like they're just like good attacks, They do a bunch of damage. They do something really powerful, whatever. But this one is not a one-time thing. It says for the rest of the game, if you have 1 metal attached, you do 30 more damage with all your Pokemon, which is like decent. Um, but then for the rest of the game, if you also have another water attached to it, then you're able to take an extra prize every time you take a knockout, which is like very good. And yeah, I mean this card is very good. Yeah, it was strong. I wasn't like super broken compared to all the other cards around it, but it was very good.
Yeah. I'm looking at this. I do see like a lot of things I like. Now as far as it being a basic, theoretically then could you turn one have this just be the first thing that you deploy and it's just
Yeah, so the way
your
that
starter Pokemon?
this deck worked that so I played this deck. A lot of people didn't like this deck because it was very good. But this deck turn one ideally this is how I did it, which is a little aggressive. Um, Turn one going you want to go second, you attach a water energy, then there's a way to get an extra energy on like a metal, and then you use Altered Creation. And then on your second turn of the game, you want to use Ultimate Ray to knock out one of your opponent's Pokemon, like a Dedenne GX, Crobat V, something like that, which have between 160 and 180 HP. There are 2 prizes normally, but then they give up 3 prizes with Altered Creation having been used, and then you've taken 3 of your prizes, right, out of 6. And then you, with Ultimate Ray, also accelerate energy to powerful Pokemon. Like there's a card Zacian V, which was did like 220 for 3. Again, it's boosted. And then you go ahead and you knock out something else with Zacian V to just win the game. I'd say more often people would go first or try to go first and just attack turn 2 with Alter Creation, and then turn 3 with Ultimate Ray if they could. But yeah, you can definitely use this. I mean, in expanded format, this can be used turn 1 very easily. It's not as good in expanded. There was a counter card, but I don't know how much play this card sees. I think it sees a decent chunk of play for some other reasons as well. But yeah, this card when it was in standard was, as I said, also uncounterable. The effect there, you couldn't remove it.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. This would be really good in Magic as well. Um, Altered Creation GX. We would call an effect like this an emblem, and it's pretty much just an uninteractable permanent that is on the battlefield for the rest of the game. Once you play it, there's not really much an opponent can do about it except try to beat you faster than you beat them. Um, they're generally very, very difficult to get in Magic, like extremely rare. And this seems like it's rather easy to get. Can you get more than one copy of Altered Creation? Like, could you use it multiple
Uh,
times, or is it just one?
no, yeah, you can use 1 GX attack per game, so this will be your one.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, I guess it does say that on the card, huh?
yeah. There's a lot of text on this card. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of text in parentheses.
I mean, I still think that emblem's really good. I'm sitting here thinking, even if I had an emblem in Magic that just said your creature deals one more attack, like your creatures each deal one more damage per attack, like that just sounds really strong. Um, and then you taking an additional prize card. I wish that there was some kind of translation for the prize cards in um Magic as there is in Pokemon. If I had to look at it this way, it would be so your creatures deal um additional damage, and then when your creatures take out an opponent's creature, that opponent would probably take like 3 or 4 damage. And then when this tag team died, you would take something along the lines of like 9 to 12 damage or something. And then of course there's also search your deck for up to 3 lands in Magic would be really strong, especially on a creature that already does this much. I mean, I'm telling you right now, this creature feels like 3 different concepts in Magic strapped to one. I mean, you have like a very powerful creature that you can play early on that has a big downside of, okay, it dies, you lose 3 prize cards or you take a bunch of damage. That's already a concept in Magic, but it's just a creature that has like really good stats that you can play early on, right? And then you have this really powerful ramp spell attached to that, which lets you look for 3 lands, which is an insane rate, by the way. Something for 3 lands in Magic, and if they were going straight onto the battlefield, would be minimum 5 mana to act as an activated ability. And it would probably have to say you can only use this ability once. And then the last thing, the emblem, is just another thing. So to get emblems in Magic, you have to play Planeswalkers. And Planeswalkers, they just come onto the battlefield, they do nothing. Your opponents can attack them because they have health, and you need to pretty much play like They usually have 3 abilities. They have like one weak ability that increases their health, a somewhat strong ability that decreases their health, and then they have like an ultimate which decreases their health by a lot. And you can't use the ultimate until their health reaches that threshold. And at any time, your opponent's creatures can be attacking them. So to get an emblem in Magic is like really hard work and kind of relies on your opponent messing up. Whereas this one, like you were saying, you just kind of play it on turn 2, and then they just have to deal with this for the rest of the game. That's like really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, if
Yeah.
this was a Magic creature, it would be, I don't know. It could definitely have an insane stat line. I mean, that's a thing. But there's no way it could be cheap. Like doing this on turn 2 is ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. This card. Oh, and speaking of it doing 3 things, I mean, it is like it's 3 Pokemon combined.
That
These are
is
the
fair.
3 gods as well. The like creator of the
Mhm.
universe, the one that controls time, and the one that controls space. They slapped them together on this one card. So it's very powerful thematically there, but yeah, so
Yeah.
but it's ramp. I guess like because the energy acceleration for this card, it's certainly meaningful, but it's not like
Mhm.
crazy. This is definitely something you see from time to time. I mean, energy acceleration in general is like again it's stronger because you do lose the energy when the Pokemon's knocked out. And also energy is just required for attacking, not really anything else. But um, yeah, this card is. I mean, there's so much stuff. I'm trying to think. Like, so would it be with this card? Do you think it would be? Could you implement it as a Planeswalker in Magic?
It could be a planeswalker. It certainly could be. I think that for a planeswalker, it's the ability where you're fetching energy would have to be smaller. It would need to be two lands or maybe even just 1 land, and that would have to be like a pretty big downside for the minus. Like using, and by downside I mean like using most of its health. Um, but it could be a planeswalker. I mean, this could also be implemented as a multicolor creature because I mean the colors in Magic are a bit more flexible when you start combining them. So if this was like a 3 color creature or a 4 color creature, that could work. I mean, it being a team is also something that we've seen before in Magic. Like it's fine for a quote unquote like singular creature card to have multiple creatures in it. That's also a thing, and then like the colors could represent each creature as well.
So, which part would you like focus on if you were to make this a Magic card? Would it be the like emblem effect, or would it be the damage or the stash? Should it be like a mix of all three?
I think you could do a mix of all three. I think instead of it being an emblem, it would work much better in Magic if it was an effect that only existed while the creature was on the battlefield. It's like something along the lines of, and since this thing seems to kind of be at parity with risk and reward, it could just be that creatures like deal and take increased damage, right? And that's like a board wide thing. So if you play this and this is the only creature you have, but your opponents already have a bunch of stuff on the battlefield, you could just die on the spot because everything's doing more damage.
Yeah.
The ramp effect is fine. The stat line would probably be fairly strong for what it is. I'm thinking something along the lines of like 5 to 8 power, somewhere in that realm. And then the casting cost would be something pretty high too. I think like six mana or higher
Yeah.
would be reasonable for an effect like this.
And you said 3 color.
Yeah, it could be 3 color. It could also be, because right now, okay, with what I'm looking at, it's like with everything on the board, it's like red, green, and then you could do whatever other color for the flavor. But the damage effect is more of a red thing. The ramp is obviously green, and then sometimes creatures in Magic get colors that assigned to them based off of like their alignment. So like if it's a good creature, it might be white. If it's supposed to be evil, it could be blue. If it's like a, or I mean, if evil, it would be black. And if it's like a thinker or something, it would be blue. So the
Yeah,
third color could easily just be that.
yeah. So yeah, I feel like this card definitely is I mean, it's something. In the Pokemon TCG, it was a bit problematic. But yeah, what's your last card here? I don't know this card. I mean, I don't know. I've known some of the cards you've shown me, but
This card is, I would say, not very strong. It's not supposed to be strong. It's more of a gimmicky card. Um, but it's called Herald of Eternal Dawn. It's a 7 mana, 3 white pips, 4 colorless. It has Flash, which I'll explain in a moment. It also has Flying. But the most important thing is you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. And it is also a fairly beefy creature. 6/6, 7 mana. It's nothing to write home about. Those are about like the stats you're expecting for that you're paying into it. But on the battlefield, this is going to be fairly strong. Like your opponents are going to struggle to swing through this most of the time.
yeah. And then you can cast it at any time, or anytime you could cast an instant. So is this a card you're like casting at like you're holding up, you're like waiting to cast it, or is it like how much does it matter when you? I guess it's like you don't want it to get removed, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't want it to get removed. If you, I would say that if you're winning the game and you're winning by a significant margin, it doesn't really matter when you cast this. If you're trying to trick your opponents, you're definitely going to wait until you're absolutely going to die, and then you cast this, and then you kind of like have your like little oh I gotcha moment. And the idea is that like I think the idea when they designed this card was okay, players will play like an opponent will think that they have a lead and they'll swing and they'll overcommit their board and the opponent will play this and then like when it's their turn they'll untap and then they'll swing them. We call it a back crack in Magic, and then you just kill them on the back crack
Okay.
or crack back. Sorry, I think I said
Um
that backwards.
um so is what was I gonna say? So in terms of your opponent not winning, like how do you win in Magic? I thought you like lose in Magic, or there are other ways
You
to win.
can. There are other ways to win. There's cards like I believe it's Revel in Riches, where if you meet a certain condition, or Coalition Victory, where if you meet a certain condition, you do just outright win the game. And it's important to note that can't effects in Magic. The word can't is very strong. It pretty much overrules like every other word. So if you can't do something that's final, so you can't lose the game, there's nothing that they can do to make you lose, and there's nothing that they can do to win as long as this creature exists.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. Like in Pokemon, the main way the game ends is if um so there's three ways the game ends. Well, I guess you could like tie, but and you could actually tie without in Magic you tie by going to time, right? That's or is there another way to tie? Oh, wait, can no, you can lose life at the same time, right?
You can lose life at the same time. Yeah, I mean there are ways to draw. The only way that I can think of to draw off the top of my head is that you guys somebody creates a loop that the game can't continue on. You know, like how Consecrated
Oh,
Sphinx
yeah.
had a Yume ability. If there was an effect that didn't kill you, but it just kept on going on forever, and it wasn't like a you may choose to stop this whenever you want, then the game has to draw.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's not common in Pokemon, where you like both die at the same time. But
Yeah.
so in Pokemon you lose by running out of cards, which isn't that common. You can lose by not having any Pokemon in play, but if this was in play, you wouldn't have that. And then if you can lose by or your opponent wins by taking all their prizes, which is the main way games end. And so you could say, I'm trying to think, it could say that your opponent can't take any prize cards. Um, Actually, yeah, I think that might be all right. There are cards um that say maybe it'll be like if your opponent. So there's a card like Jinx in Standard. Oh wait, is that in Standard? Not in Standard. I'll pull it up anyway. So there's a card Jinx. It has the ability if it's knocked out by damage from an attack from an opponent's Pokemon V, which is just like a powerful card, which is most cards, or not in the current game, but like I'd say EX. Then your opponent doesn't take any prizes for it, but that's knocking out Jinx. But then I think yeah, just say like if it's in play, your opponent doesn't take any prizes. That's like super powerful. It's obviously need to be like a stage 2, but it's also an ability, right? So
Mhm.
um maybe if it's in the active, your opponent doesn't take any prizes. So they could hit around you. They could still gust around it as well. But gusting is kind of like removals. So I feel like that's fair. So if it's in the active, your opponent can't take any prize cards. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much all it would say. Then it would have some stat line. I'm not actually sure what color white should be. Like, should it be? It shouldn't be colorless, right?
Yeah.
Um, be lightning.
If you had to translate, yeah, I mean maybe lightning. I don't
Uh,
know. There's not really like a holy archetype in Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah, and white also like that has like flying stuff, right? Like angels and stuff.
Mhm.
But the flying type in the video game translates also to colorless in the so um
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean I'd probably just slap colorless on it, but
I
I don't
would
know.
love if this card was actually good in Pokemon because it's like it's so bad in Magic. I
Oh,
mean, really, the problem is, right? So the idea is what I was play this. Your opponent swings out at you, and then you're like, "Ha, I got you," and then you swing back and kill them. In reality, what happens is your opponent swings at you to kill you. They do enough damage to where you instantly die if this creature is killed. Then you play this creature, and then they counterspell it, or they use something like Doomblade, and you read them and weep.
yeah. Um so then you just
But
lose.
if your opponent can't deal with it though, I mean, you can't lose. I mean, there definitely going to be games where you swing it in your favor, but not enough for it to be noteworthy.
Yeah, I'm trying I think having this like have to be in the active. I mean, and then your opponent like doesn't get any prizes. So they can still win if they knock it out.
Hmm.
And then they can also again as they can like gust around it, and I feel like that'd be like fair. Um,
Hmm.
you could theoretically like keep setting up. Oh, then the stat line I think it would be as a stage 2 attack would be. I mean, it's like I feel like the attack should be like 3 because it's like an expensive card in Magic, in terms
Hmm.
of mana value, and then maybe like I guess 3 colorless because I'm making this colorless in this example. And then it's I don't think the flash doesn't really. I mean, it could matter some. I can't really think of anything like I think I mean it's just an ability. So in terms of that, I think it's fine.
Hmm.
And then the flying I don't think. Oh, it says flying. It should be yeah, it'll be like a flying type Pokemon. In the TCG, there's not flying type, but flying types in the video game are generally colorless. They're not always colorless, but then they have lightning weakness and fighting resistance. So we'll have that on it, and then
Hmm.
it'll do I'll give it like 160 damage or something, and then like 300 HP or something. As an EX. Wait, it doesn't matter if it's an EX. That's fine. It'll still be an EX. I'm trying to think this through. Maybe it should be a single prizer, because if it's an EX, the downside is you give up an extra prize. But if you're not giving up any prizes, then it doesn't matter. So yeah. But so something like that. Maybe it should be tuned down to a single prizer. But I mean, this card is it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting card. Obviously, it's like in Magic, it's kind of weird because if you would um it doesn't stop you from losing life. It's
Yeah,
not like what Teferi's Protection or something where like if you play Teferi's Protection, you realistically like you can't really lose, right? That turn. Um
yeah, it's very difficult to lose if you successfully cast it and it's not countered. Your worries are pretty much gone.
yeah, but this isn't stopping that. This doesn't get rid of your worries. I mean it kind of does, but um yeah. So I feel like it should be like your opponent doesn't take any prizes,
No,
but
it's actually it's funny because I would say that the times I've played this card have usually been more stressful than the times that I haven't because you just know that your life's kind of on a ticking clock and the moment that this gets removed you're just gone.
yeah.
So it is a very stressful card to run and rely.
Yeah, I remember I saw a video. I assume do you watch? I'm gonna say sound like a like boring, but I watched some player in community college.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I watched that.
yeah,
They're
and
very
then
they're very fun.
yeah, and then it was like a playing commander, and someone had a card like this where um wait no sorry they had a card that was the opposite of this, which was what's it? Your opponents can't lose and you can't win. So um but then and they gave it to someone else. So it like is the same thing. And then someone like copied it, and then they all had negative life. Um, and then these like it died, and then they all died. It's funny. Um, that seems like stupid, but really funny. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think it should just be. I think this is like it's kind of a silly card, right?
hmm
But
It's definitely fun. This is like a card that's like I feel like is made for content creators.
yeah.
It's something fun to make a video about.
Yeah, I guess okay, we're going kind of long here, but that's fine. There's one more card I guess I want to show you here as well. I'll send it to you, which is the Baby Trio. So we had the like Legendary Gods Trio, which is a tag team of three Pokemon, and then this one's other bunch of like babies. So this is what's it, Igglybuff and Cleffa and find it, Togepi, Cleffa, and Igglybuff tag team GX, which I'll send to you here, and it has the attack Rolling Panic. This is Fairy Energy. If you are if you watch my channel, you know it's called 10 types. This I don't count because it doesn't exist anymore. But anyways, for a two fairy and a colorless, you do 120 flip a coin until you get tails. It does 30 more for each heads. Which is kind of bad. And also this is a three prizer, 240 HP, kind of low there, or very low. But then also it has the attack Supreme Puff for two fairy. You take an extra turn. Um, this is like bad though because like it's like I mean you just take an extra turn, but you don't really get anywhere taking the extra turn because you're not like doing damage. But then if you have
Mhm.
another 14 fairy energies attached, then your opponent shuffles all of their bench Pokemon and attached cards into their deck, and then you still take the extra turn. So then presumably you win because you attack and then you knock out their only Pokemon and win. I mean, you don't guarantee win, but you probably win. But also, this is 16 Fairy Energies, and uh, that's a lot. Usually, don't play 16 energies in a deck. Um,
Yeah. I mean, Magic has a few I don't want to say joke effects. I mean, they're kind of like hardcore build around cards like this, where the card is kind of like it's like all right. But if you play the build around, I mean, you could realistically get a win for it. It's just going to be hard, like we call like against the odds. But I would say for the rolling panic, if that was an ability in Magic, that could actually be quite good. Like an actual win con. I this card would unironically be playable in Commander. There's a lot of so the archetype is called Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. Because pretty much it's about coin flipping, and the idea is that you play a bunch of cards and effects that like stack the odds through like whenever you flip a coin, you get to choose which side it lands on once per turn, or you get to flip multiple coins per turn, things like that.
yeah,
Um, or each time you flip a coin, flip two or three or four. However, I mean, I've sat at a table where I just watch a guy flip a coin 16 times. And so, and in a case like that, then this card would be like a deck like that's actual. They would be wanting to put this onto the board, and then this is what they're expecting to do to win,
yeah.
and
I
they
mean,
would just ignore the other ability.
yeah. I mean, the attack's bad in Pokemon because like the damage it does. I mean, even if it one-shotted everything, even if it did infinite damage, it's still a three prizer that probably gets one-shotted anyways. So you still trade negatively.
Yeah.
So you could be taking one-shots every turn and still lose. Um, but yeah, this card's like very bad and like a funny bad card. I'll quickly mention the other card that I didn't show in this video, which I showed to you before, is the what's it? It's the Doduo, where apparently, if anyone knows, tell me down in the comment section. It says it's legal and expanded in Japanese expanded. That seems wrong, but it's Imakuni's question marks Doduo, and it's a card that has the Pokemon power, which by the way, Pokemon powers like don't exist anymore. But anyways, that says when you retreat, you hold it and then throw it, and then you like when you attack, you like sing. Um, I will say there's another supporter that was draw three, and then you like sing a song, and then your opponent can like clap or something. And that card like actually saw tournament play, not because it's good, but because it's funny. Um, So yeah, there are some weird cards in Pokemon. You were mentioning that there is
Mhm.
what the unsets in Magic. There's the one I know is the Who, What, When, Where, Why card.
Yeah, there are a lot of unset joke cards. There was like one that your creature got bonus power based on how many trash cans were in the room, and so like there was like this ongoing joke because there was a while that was debating on making some of the unset cards legal, and there was like this joke post going around for a long time of this guy walking into a tournament building carrying like 20 disposable trash cans. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, Magic definitely has its fair share of joke cards as well.
Yeah. I'm wondering. So the one last thing. So what are your thoughts on Universes Beyond?
I'm pretty okay with it. At this point, it's I think it's something that people kind of like get a little bit too in over their heads about. If you don't like it, your friends and yourself don't have to play with it. It's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Also, if you really really hate it, just vote with your because I see so many people that are like, I'm tired of Universes Beyond. Why do they keep making this stuff? And then they're like, oh, I can't wait to buy some of the Avatar set cards or the Lord of the Rings cards or the Warhammer 40K cards. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, come on.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get a Pokemon Universes Beyond, right?
Yeah, you want some Fortnite action in Pokemon?
No,
We got
no.
it over here
Magic
in
will get a
Magic.
Pokemon Universes Beyond.
Oh, okay, okay. You sure?
They,
I mean,
they
come
need
on.
some money, they're selling products.
Oh
Um,
man. Yeah, no, I actually think the recent Spider-Man set did really badly.
yeah. But anyways, so we hope you all enjoyed the video, a longer one here. And tell us down below in the comment section if you want Funky Fizz back for more and what you'd like to see there. But we hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the good stuff. And as Osmic said, see you in the next video.